This is Bloodletting. So according to Bloody Disgusting, U.S. rights to A Nightmare on Elm Street have reverted back to Wes Craven's estate. One of the biggest conversations in the horror community right now is the current state of the Friday the 13th franchise, which is trapped in a legal battle between two parties. It all started when Friday the 13th writer Victor Miller exercised his legal right that would revert the ownership of the story back to him. Director Sean Cunningham of Horror Inc., however, refutes this, and that's why we are where we are. While all of us were focusing on Friday, I checked in on the status of another iconic slasher who lays dormant in Springwood, Ohio. What I discovered is that Wes Craven's estate pulled a similar maneuver this year and regained the U.S. rights to both A Nightmare on Elm Street and its red and green sweater, fedora-wearing dream demon, Freddy Krueger. Long story short, the law is that the writers can reclaim ownership of their work after 35 years. And 2019 marks 35 years since Elm Street was released. Like Victor Miller, Craven's estate was therefore able to legally reclaim ownership of the original film this year, which was, of course, written and directed by the late Wes Craven. The implications are unknown to me as I am not a lawyer, but the good news is that there appears to be no third party standing in the way of Craven's estate from making deals for the franchise or the iconic slasher. In other words, there's no current legal battle over the rights allowing Craven's estate control over the franchise's future. Here in the States, from what I understand, WB and New Line Cinema still controls international rights, much like Friday the 13th. More as we learn it. And that's pretty much what's going on with Freddy. So it's essentially the same concept since Wes Craven wrote and created Freddy Krueger and everything that goes with him. Because he was dead, it was the next of kin, so to speak, his estate. They were able to reclaim the rights from New Line, like Victor Miller did from Sean Cunningham. The only thing is, Wes Craven is the sole creator of Freddy Krueger, where you have a dispute over who created what and who was under contract during that time to create what, making it someone else's property even though someone else created it. That's the mess that Friday the 13th is in. Right here is pretty cut and dry. New Line has nothing that they can do in the States to get the rights away from Wes Craven's estate. They can't really take him to court. They could, but they'd lose. So now it's based simply on whether Wes Craven's estate is willing to make a deal with New Line or possibly maybe even another studio. This might be how another studio like a Blumhouse or something gets a hold of A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is very possible. Now the thing is, would Blumhouse, I'm not saying it has to be Blumhouse, it's just for example. Let's say Blumhouse or a studio like Blumhouse would want to come in and take the rights and try to make their own Freddy movie. They also have to deal with, if they do bring that movie out, they have to know that New Line and Warner Brothers takes all international money. They'll take all of that. So they have to bank on strictly domestic. And I think with something like Freddy, if you're talking a comic book movie, like a big name like Batman or something, then yeah, you have to work out a deal with the company that it originally came from, so that way you can get some of that international money too. But for something like this, that's primarily domestic, that's something that you can do to make a good little money on. But yeah, that's pretty much the thing. I thought I heard somewhere that they were trying to make a deal already. But then I heard something about possibly going to court. And there's nothing really you can go to court over. It's kind of a done deal. I'm not sure what New Line could really argue, since Wes Craven had already written the script. I believe the story goes before he met Bob Shaye. And Bob Shaye basically funded the movie. But that doesn't give him right over the property, especially in this particular situation. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. And if the Craven estate decides to give Freddy back to New Line or go another direction. Could you imagine someone else in control of Freddy Krueger? That would be insane.